But we're proud. We're so very proud of her because it was a big, big challenge. And I watched her through the process. And obviously myself and the girls, we tried to encourage her by eating healthier ourselves. And I mean, I can't say enough about how beautiful she looks and how proud I am. As a matter of fact, she's in this week's People magazine.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Well, I didn't forget.
With the royals.
Right.
Yeah, royalty and royalty.
And just to see her there, you know, literally almost brought tears to my eyes.
It did bring tears to my eyes. I mean, I literally toasted, like, by myself one night by myself, just at midnight, just looking at the picture and just thinking what a great accomplishment. As a, you know, it just made me feel really, really good. Yeah. I didn't realize I lost 30 pounds. You just kind of, it just kind of drops off as you go.
Look at something else you don't realize. What? How often I'm looking at you.
I really do, but that never quit. I'm like, okay, been married 20 years and he's still looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is your diet like now? What do you eat?
I still eat everything that I eat. I do some more in moderation, baking, grilling more. I probably do a little more hummus, but I try to eat at least every couple of hours. So that's really the thing. You have to eat breakfast. People think when you're trying to lose weight, you don't eat. But you have to eat 6 to 7 meals each day and try to drink a lot of water and just keep it moving. And like if we're traveling, instead of riding the escalator, I may walk, park further, just things, little things like that that make a difference. But my girls were like cheerleaders, so I always stay busy with them. So just keep them busy, shopping. The best part was getting new clothes and taking in the ones that I love. Yeah, it's good.
Well, you're a role model. Definitely a role model.
Thank you.
Did you start with a formal plan and then adapt it to yourself, or did you do your own?
Do my own. I did an annual, because I do all my annual visits. I try to stress to women all the time. It's very, very important that we do our annual mammograms, annual pap smears. I'm very big on that. I make my birthday as my anniversary date. And I noticed that my cholesterol was a little high. So I had already started thinking about how I could change that and speaking with my doctor. So this sort of came as just a surprise to me. So when George Foreman approached me, it was kind of like a little epiphany, like this is a change that I need to make, and it's a good change. And women look at me now kind of, I cannot believe, let me just tell you this, I'm wearing my daughter's jeans.
That's wonderful.
And honey, they stay in my closet. That's the one part I don't like, but they are in my closet. And that's strange to them that their mother can wear their clothes. I had one of my daughter's boyfriend ask her, is that your biological mother? Is that your mother? I said, oh, it's working. Yeah, it's working.
So can we talk about some of your favorite recipes that you like to make?
My favorite ones, I would say, is a grilled Caesar salad, because most people think you can't grill romaine lettuce on the grill, and I create with the Greek yogurt. That's kind of light. I do more fruit, smoothies in the morning. I use a lot of almond type things, smoothies. I use airborne.
We're doing a lot of fish and a lot of grilled vegetables. We found ourselves out on the grill, although I love it. But grilling, you know, even if, you know, she's doing her fish or it's chicken, and let's say I want a steak, it ends up on the grill.
Not on the George Foreman, on his grill.
On the big grill.
Girls can grill too.
Yeah.
For
sure.
sure.
I don't fool around with that George Foreman grill.
He hates my grill. It's like, look at that little grill. I'm like, my meal will be done. I'll be cleaning and eating before you get done.
But it's you know, I challenge anybody to her program, because it becomes a way of life for everyone in the house. We all found ourselves. I dropped, when she was really heavy at it, about 20 pounds myself. I don't know if I'm still there, because I still cheat a little bit. I'll have my little indulgence once or twice a week, but it's about, and she's told me this, about moderation. She'll say, that's okay, you know, if you want a steak, but I find myself now saying, okay, I'm having a steak today. Well, that's the only steak I'll get this week. You know, no more red meat this week. So it's worked even for me, you know, even on a smaller scale, and even my daughters. My daughter the other night ended up eating salad, and that was dinner.
Because you'll find once it becomes a habit, like one M&M or just a few M&Ms of candy, it tastes so chocolatey, it's almost like it's too much. So even as you start going on, things start becoming escalated to your palate, so you don't even want it as much. Because I really find once you get what you need, you really don't want it anyway.
Are you talking about me or the food?
Let me see here. Shopping that can get done. Might be you. No, I'm just kidding.
What are some of the things that you like to see in everybody's grocery cart? So how should we be shopping differently as
You
moms?
should, you know what, you should, like on Sunday, prepare your meal. Preparation is always the key. Buy in bulk. Add new seasonings to, like, experiment. Instead of maybe lemon pepper, do some cumin. Add different things, fish tacos, things that you wouldn't normally eat. Or if you're out somewhere at a restaurant and something tastes good, ask the chef what she did. Or kind of take a picture of it and try to remix it yourself. We're big on remixing ingredients and remixing recipes.
One of the things that Gina and I have come to realize is that you ever go into a grocery store, if you ever notice, the produce section is first.
Yes.
And there's a reason why it's first.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, try to fill your basket with as much produce as possible. My daughter the other day said, Daddy, when are we going to grill squash and zucchini and slice and grill those?
Mm-hmm.
And so even our kids now are in that mode of eating vegetables and eating healthy. So I try to fill the basket up with lettuce and kale and all sorts of broccoli and asparagus and all sorts of vegetables. By the time you get to the meat section or the bad section or the snack section, and halfway through the store, your basket is full. So it's the reason why the produce section is in the front of the store.
And then a great thing too, George Foreman has been an amazing partner. They created a whole booklet for you. It's called, if you go to georgeforemancooking.com/weight loss, it will break it down, everything for you, like how to buy in bulk, different seasoning, different meats, how to prepare it, and tell you how many calories it is. Like, some people don't like hummus. Like, we put hummus in we have a third cookbook coming out this year, 2014. And everybody eats hummus, but I tried to do a remix of hummus, and I created a black-eyed pea hummus, so we'll see how you guys like that. So just taking dishes like that and just changing it up. But that, I have to say, that kit that we collaborated on is a really, really great way to get you on target.
And are you exercising or how much your
Exercise.
fitness?
You don't
'Cause
just
you look
get,
fabulous.
well, let me just tell you this, you don't get this without exercising. I don't know why these people keep thinking they can walk around and eat little and not work. You have to exercise. I mean, I don't pressure myself a lot, but I do try to get at least 3 days in. And on this trip, I just brought my bands with me. And I'll just do my bands in the room. Sometimes I get up this morning, some jumping jacks, just something to get my heart rate up and to kind of keep me moving.
Excellent. You look wonderful.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
How
Speaking
many?
of cookbook, got to get this in. Gina and I just finished our third cookbook, and we are absolutely ecstatic about it.
Yes.
Cookbook 1 was really the story about us. Cookbook 2 was more of a celebration book with different events. Cookbook 3, we went back to
Going back
our
down home
original roots, and we really tell the story about our grandparents and our great-grandparents and how they grew vegetables and they pickled things like
Canning.
okra and all of these old-style dishes, and how our grandparents moved to the city but still would go back to the country on weekends to get a lot of their vegetables and a lot of their meats. And I make a couple of comments. One, we see organic food now, but they had true organic
Yeah.
food.
True, it's true.
I mean, you couldn't have gotten more organic than them going back to the country or growing it right there and living off of the land. And I also make a comment about our grandmothers who were true original housewives. That stuff they got on television, I don't know about those housewives, but I know my grandmother was a housewife. So we've got some you're going to get a chance to really understand Pat and Gina and where they really came from and where some of our true culinary roots all began. So we're super excited about it.
Do we have a title yet?
Yeah. It's going back down home. Is it the back down home with the Neelys? Back down home with the Neelys?
Down
With the
home with the
Neelys.
Neelys.
Yeah, and it really speaks to also supporting your local farmer markets. You know,
Nice.
getting back to that.
Nice.
So that's very important as well too. So we try to put some community in there as well for those working moms.
What are some of the better recipes that you have in there? Any favorites?
I was just love my black eyed pea hummus, honey, because I have turned into the hummus queen. I love that one. We did a stew.
Thank you.
We did a bunch of really vegetable.
Pickling, canning.
We did a canning. We did some baking. Our grandmothers used to make these triple layer cakes.
That was your
And,
recipe.
and I could never understand
cake
how
was
she
just,
could get 4 layers up to,
crazy.
without toothpicks, sticking in them. But my grandmother had this real steady hand. We did a section on jams, and all of the fresh fruit that you can make your own preserves with. And then we got into some good vegetables like cabbage and asparagus and broccoli and things of that nature. So it was really enjoyable to write because you were going back and you started remembering things that none of our grandparents are living now, but that they used to do and how you grew up with them cooking. I mean, my grandmother cooked every day of the week, every day of the week.
And then how they entertained in the parlor, old Southern style. You had your friends over at your parlor, then that's when you would bring out your homemade butter, your breads, and have your sweet tea, which is the house wine of the South, to welcome me. Or you would make a particular dish and take it to a neighbor, like nut bread, like as a housewarming gift, but they could have that as a dinner later. You know, just that whole of coming back together as a family and getting back to the good things of life, the old school way.
Did you do them from the historic perspective as they did them, or did you modernize them, streamline them?
We actually used like some of my grandmother's ideas and Pat's and just kind of collaborated them together and just kind of what we also felt about where the world is going now and how things are progressing and stuff like that. And what's a good way to kind of slow things down and enjoy life a little more.
But we had to speed them up a little bit because my grandmother used this old rolling pin and the ice cream.
That rolling pin was double use. Rolling, and if you come in late, you got cut.
You know, they made homemade ice cream with the fresh fruit. And I think Gina and I changed it to homemade yogurt.
Yeah.
And of course, you can't find the ice cream machine with the rock salt that my grandmother used. So of course, you know, we ended up at Macy's or somewhere buying a new fancy one that you put in the freeze overnight. So, but we tried to stay as true as possible, and it is our hope that not only readers will enjoy it, but that our grandparents are somewhere looking down on us saying,
Good job.
you know, my grandbabies, they didn't forget. They didn't forget the things that we taught them. So really, we're really passionate about this book.
When is it coming out?
We're hoping, we don't know, as usual, publishers never tell us anything, but we just finished the photo shoot. So I would assume within the next 6 to 8 months, I would think.
Picture shots are done,
Yeah. It's all edited.
Now, what are you doing to build the legacy and handing down recipes to your own family so that you can continue to...
Making our kids get their butts,
Hey.
making them get their butts in the kitchen with us.
Do they?
You know what happens? It's so amazing that...
Oh, let me talk to women, because I did have a little girl ask me one time the question, you need to come up with some ramen noodle recipes. I've done everything I could. You could just do a book on ramen noodles for me in college. That would really be great. I was like, well, sweetie, that is a good option, but let me think about that.
I tell parents, if you start cooking and you involve your kids at a young age, it becomes an environment. You don't have to thrust it down their throat. They will automatically do it. We have a 24-year-old daughter that will call me at least once a week. But Daddy, how you make that spaghetti? I mean, she's literally at home trying to cook. She asked me the other day about a steak. She says, I don't want to put it on the grill, and how can I cook it on the stovetop? So I know she's cooking. My 18-year-old just wanted to wait. She's leaving for college this year. Last week she went to Los Angeles to visit one of her friends, and she texts me and she says, Daddy, how do we make the chopped steak with the gravy? And I actually gave her the recipe back in text. So the point is, we never said, you got to cook, we want you to cook, but because we always cooked, it just became secondary.
And we definitely don't want them to feel like they have to do what we're doing. You know, it's very important to me that kids sort of find their own way and their own journey. But I would think, like my 18-year-old, she seems very busy. She's business finance, so she's very much into that realm. Whereas my 24-year-old, she's an excellent writer, journalist, PR, marketing. So they kind of have their own different set of skills, which eventually probably will come together if we, continue on. Or they may just choose something else. But yeah, I mean, I never compare my kids. We just grew up that way. We all have our own different personalities, so I always try to let them shine through whatever gift that they have. And I try not to put anything I may add, but I don't take away. Just whatever you want to do you.
I just always tell them, you know, and if you're not cooking for my grandchildren when you finally have them,
He'll cook
I'm
anyway.
calling social services.
He's gonna be the worst. He's gonna be the worst.
But we still cook a lot. My 24-year-old comes over every Sunday. Daddy,
Yeah.
what y'all cooking? What y'all cooking? So it's kind of like a tradition.
They bring their friends over. It's kind of like, hey, cover charge in a minute. This
Do
food
they
not
ask
free.
for anything special that you make? Is there a
Oh,
favorite dish? that they have?
Absolutely. That,
Yes.
honey, yes. Our kids like make grandmama's chicken noodle soup. Or now
Grandma's chicken
Shelby has mastered it a little bit. She always says, I forget my chicken broth. She said, either I do something wrong. And when you made the cabbage, she said, your cabbage, Daddy puts something in here. She said, your cabbage is more crispier. Then, but she said, but Dad is always doing something, adding something in.
I'm always playing with it. I
he
put a little
loves to
chicken
play, a
broth in
little
it
this,
for a
a
little
little
flavor,
that.
you know. And she says,
I stick
it's,
to it.
it's too mushy, Daddy. You don't have to put it
So
in
we
here.
have
She's
great
telling
critics
me
in
how
the
to cook
house.
it, right.
We have great critics.
So are you embarking on an empty nest?
Yeah!
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God! I am.
So honeymoon number 2 is about to begin.
Let me tell you know what? Until you raise your children all these years, and you always can't wait for that moment. And when that moment is almost about to approach, it's not funny.
I'm getting my Valium now. I'm telling you. We went to orientation, and the lady was talking about separating and letting your kids breathe. And he was looking like this. I was like, saying to myself, yeah, I'm going to have to talk to him.
I mean, I'm really thinking about getting an apartment near.
And I'm like, party! Party, girls night out, boo, boo, boo. He's just like,
No, my baby girls and my babies. I can't.
daddy's girls.
It's going to be real hard to say goodbye. But I'm taking every moment I can right now. She doesn't leave for 3 weeks, and I'm sitting on the edge of her bed every night. She's like, Daddy, will you please get out of here? So,
She's like, Mom, please, really? He wants me to look at me with him, really? Let him
It's-
breathe.
it's-
It's gonna be okay.